Man, it's a beautiful day. The locusts are back out, but the season's getting ready to change, so we won't hear the locusts anymore. But man, it's beautiful out right now. The rain came, and then the hail came. So you can see kind of the broken glass and the just punched holes in the siding. But my point to all this is, one moment everything can be going smooth in your life, and the next moment you got a storm you're dealing with. I have two choices, and that's what it comes down to. It comes down to simplicity. And you may ask yourself, well, man, how do you just shake something like that off? You know, it wasn't long after my wife pulled up, Miss Jude, in our Chevy pickup that was in perfectly good shape, and it looked like somebody took a ball peen hammer to it all over. The dents were so deep in certain areas that it actually caused the paint to crinkle. Knocked out the headlights, broke the mirrors, and the windshield. It just took the windshield out. But how you deal with that is you find the blessings in life, okay? Number one, my roof's still on. There's people in a lot worse shape. The big thing is, the most important thing is my wife was okay. She was perfectly healthy. My kids are okay. You know, I talked to my kids earlier in that day, and we had a great conversation and told each other we loved each other. And those are the things that matter. Those are the things that you hang on to. Those are the things that take away the agony of, well, this happened, this storm happened, or that storm happened. And yeah, granted, it's bad, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not bad. You know, nobody lost a life. And there's people in so much worse shape. Some people don't even have homes. So those are the things you got to focus on. But let's relate it to motocross. That can be fixed, and that'll get fixed eventually. I got to buy some new parts for my bike, so it may put some of those parts on hold. But let's talk about maybe a different storm in your life. Maybe for the privateer rider out there. Or yeah, let's just use the privateer. I like talking about privateers. Maybe the privateer thought he was going to pick up a bigger sponsor, was going to carry some of the burden of the financial strain that privateers often have. Maybe he was really counting on that. He'd been counting on it all year long, and that's all he thought about, or she thought about. A lot of women professional motocross racers out there that travel all over the country just as much as the guys do, but you know, that didn't happen. So he was on this course here. He was on this course really good. His focus was really on. He was really climbing, but all of a sudden this didn't happen. That was his storm. That was the storm in the rider's life. But he has a race coming up. He has a race coming up in a few days, but he's in a real funk, you know. Something he dreamed about didn't come true. But like, we all have different storms. You know, you could have got a phone call from a family member, heaven forbid, those are the worst kind, and the hardest to deal with. But it could be anything. It could be that you blew your van, your privateer, your moto van, the engine blew up, or the training went out of it the week before, which caused a lot of financial stress, finances you don't have, as you're getting ready to go to a national or a supercross race somewhere. And that just creates a storm of emotions. You know, it generates a thought, and feelings and emotions follow it. And again, if you don't get a handle on that, it'll just dominate you. And there is no way that when you do make it to this race that you're going to be in focus. There's no way you're going to roll up to the gate with 40 riders, if you're talking motocross, 20 or so if you're talking supercross. There is no way you're going to roll up to that gate and compete at the level you're going to want to compete at when you had these storms happen to you a day or two before, maybe it was the night before, and they're dominating you. And you may be saying, but you don't understand. But I want to say something right there. If you keep throwing a butt into it, if you put a butt into things right here, if you put that but yeah, you don't understand. My training went out. I don't have the money to fix it. But this, you know what? That's exactly what it is a butt, like your ass butt. I'm sorry if there's kids watching, but that was just a verbiage enhancer. But that butt will prevent you from getting over it, okay? And how you get over it is you realize that you have a dream and you're living your dream. You cannot let these obstacles get in your way. You cannot lose sight of your dream. You cannot lose sight of who you are. You have to get over those things. And there's something I want to add on that. You know, a lot of you watching, you know, you may be in your late teens, 18, 19, in your 20s, maybe coming on to 30. You know, the fact of the matter is, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but the truth is your kids are a byproduct of you. So if we're not building a foundation or instilling certain mindsets or teachings, how do we expect them to conquer these storms that we're speaking of? How do we expect them to go on to be a privateer? You know, privateer life is tough, and you know those riders are fast. Just because they don't make it into the top 10 at an AMA Monster Energy Supercross, these riders can go anywhere in the nation and win a local or a regional race. But you're talking the best 40 or 20 riders in the world they're up against. But my point is, if you want to get to that level, or your kids are going to get to that level, how can they do that without understanding the mental side of it, or dealing with these different storms that pop up in their life, or these different hurdles, or these different struggles that they have, you know, whether it be financially, you know, getting injured and coming back from it, you know, not, you know, just becoming an adult and having a new friend base, you know, being out all alone. You know, you're under your mom and dad's wing for so long, and then all of a sudden now you're 19 years old traveling the country. So I just want to throw that out there. It's not saying anybody's doing wrong, but I just, it's something to think about, you know. If you have warrior thinking, guess what? Your kids will probably have warrior thinking. You know, nobody's perfect, and nobody is going to have the perfect scenario. You know, a lot of these things I learned when I was an adult, through trial and error, through failures, lots of different failures, little failures, some big, but a lot I learned from watching my folks. A lot I learned from listening to them, from their encouragement. You know, you want to teach your kid how to ride a dirt bike and how to be the best they can be. We need to teach how to love it, how to love riding it, how to become one with your dirt bike. That in itself, if you can teach somebody how to love it and loving the sport, that develops passion. Passion just doesn't happen overnight. Passion is developed. Passion is developed. The better you get, the more successful you become, it creates passion. You begin to have fun. But if we don't teach these things, if we just preach perfection all the time, you're going to set them up for failure. They're not going to have fun anymore, and they're going to crash and burn. So it's a process, and it's a process You know, I'm talking to myself here. You know, I got a 16-year-old, I got an 8-year-old, I got 3 stepkids. It's a process, and I fell at it. I fell at it sometimes, but I try not to live there. That's the difference, okay? Is not living somewhere. And, you know, I really got to think about what I'm thinking about, or how I'm dealing with the situation when my 8-year-old sitting there watching me. You know, when he falls down on the whoops, you know, and when the emotions kick in, the feelings kick in, I'm like, what are you doing here? I got to realize the kind of effect that's having on him. Is it having a positive effect, or is it having a negative effect? You know, the same with my kid that I talk to totally different. You know, it comes back to simplicity. We have 2 choices. So when it came to this storm, we have 2 choices. I had 2 choices. I can let it bring me down. I can ruin my evening. My wife can get home and I can be depressed and mad and upset, and we can go to the races this weekend, and, you know, I can be bitter and, you know, just throwing a drag. Who wants to be around a person like that, really? I mean, I really shy away from those kind of people. I try to be compassionate towards them, and I try to encourage, but that negativity, I like to protect my positive energy. I like to protect my peace. I want to help. So I just wanted to bring that piece in about our kids. You know, I mean, sometimes we get in their way. Sometimes, I know that's hard to say as a parent, but sometimes we get in their way. Sometimes we stunt their growth because we don't look at ourselves and what we're portraying to them, you know. So that was my little message about storms, is we have got to get through them. And, you know, again, going back to the privateer life, you roll up to a supercross gate with 20 riders in it, or a motocross gate with 40. How many of those sitting at the gate do you think are dealing with focus issues? I mean, there's probably a lot, but let's talk about those ones that are finishing in the top 10. Do you think they're sitting on the gate thinking about a bunch of bullshit? Do you think they're sitting on the gate mad about this, or crying about this, or depressed about this? Hell no. That is a capital H hell no. There is no way you could be whining and crying and depressed finishing with that kind of consistency. There's just no way. So we're going to get into some good stuff, and we appreciate you joining us. I'm trying not to take these videos too long. I got my timer out here. I've talked way too long, and I apologize for that. It's hard to get all this stuff out and not take it. I got me a little beer port here. It's that time of the day, but it kind of tastes like crap. I think my wife's kind of stuck it in the basement. It's been hot and cold a few times. It kind of stinks too, but anyway, we appreciate you guys following us. We really do. You know, we love you guys. You know, all you kids out there racing motocross, supercross, women's motocross. I mean, we're really big advocates of that. You know, privateers, that's what we really enjoy. You know, that privateer life, the struggles, the triumphs, the victories, the defeats. You know, that's what these videos are for.